So we're from Northwood. We're in second year right now, so
All right.
we're required to interview a CEO. So
And your name?
Bridget.
Bridget?
Mm-hmm.
Carmen.
Carmen?
Fair.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So we would like to start the interview with some questions about your background, like your education, previous positions you were in, and up until you got to the CEO position here at McLaren.
Perfect. Okay. Clarence Civilian. Been president and CEO here at McLaren Bay Region for a little over 3 years now. My history, I'm born and raised in Flint, Michigan. Went to Beecher High School there. Went off to Vanderbilt University in Nashville, Tennessee, and achieved a Bachelor of Arts degree in mathematics there. Didn't know what I wanted to do at that time. Basically talked to some counselor. They looked at the analytical thinking, problem solving, and said mathematics would be a perfect match because you can branch off into any area that you wanted to, because I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I did that and graduated from Vanderbilt with a Bachelor's of Mathematics there. Decided that I kind of found out during that period of time what I really wanted to do, help people, make a difference, and what have you. So I ended up coming back to Flint area and pursued not only I had to get a Bachelor's of Health Science, Bachelor's of Science in Health Science at the University of Michigan Flint, as I was pursuing my Master's of Physical Therapy degree there as well. So kind of completed that 96 and 97 and 98, where I achieved that degree there. And that allowed me to be a physical therapist at that time. And so I started my career at that point in time at McLaren Flint as a staff physical therapist in the inpatient rehabilitation unit there. Did that, I practiced physical therapy for approximately 3 years at that time, but in that 3-year period, I decided that I wanted a little bit more. So after like the first year and a half, I went back to school and got my MBA at Lawrence Tech University. And so whereas I knew I loved the clinical side of things, loved caring for people, I wanted a little bit more and to be able to have an impact in a larger way. So I ended up going back and getting that MBA to allow me to start to get into some minor management positions at that time. And so at that point, that's where I got into out of the staff physical therapy transition after a 3-year period and went into a manager of wellness within the department, kind of a small clinical area to understand the operations, and grew into, after you take off one department, they give you more. And to see how you make sure they're testing you, make sure you're getting more of the grasp of operations, et cetera. So I got into sports medicine, diabetes education, weight management, and then grew into a director role as director of business development, all being at Flint. After that, I went over to Lapeer, which was McLaren Lapeer region, and became the chief operating officer there. Did that for a couple of years before going down to Pontiac as a CEO down at what was Doctors Hospital of Michigan, and then transitioning into the CEO over at McLaren Oakland, which was the old POH. And when I left there, that's when I came here.
Do you think your MBA really helped you grasp the knowledge you would need to keep pushing you further to become in these director and CEO roles?
No questions asked.
Yeah.
That really allowed, I'm a firm believer that you truly don't understand how to do anything unless you have the real life experiences to really help you get there. So first of all, you have to have those experiences that will allow you to learn, develop, and kind of grow into it. But does the MBA itself allow you to really understand the business side of things, the marketing side of things, the human resources side of things, and how to put it all together so you can put the book skills together with the clinical skills or the operational skills together to really, I think, to be a true benefit to you. So to answer that question is absolutely.
Awesome.
It looks like you've been transitioning into different positions and jobs. How was it transitioning to like a physical therapist into like the CEO? Did it take a lot of time? Was there
No, it was perfect. It was all perfect. It happened so seamlessly. It took a lot of time. As I stated before, I think a big piece of truly understanding, how to really be a good CEO or understanding the different positions that you would be in is through experiences. And so, it was a transition because I had the clinical side of things, the books meaning the MBA helps you understand, but really put it into operation is you get that only through experiences. So you learn every step of the way. And so, yeah, it helped you understand, and then obviously what you have to do, a lot of it's people skills, understanding how to manage people. When you get into some of those managerial types of roles is in how to work with people, how to understand your weaknesses and your strengths that you currently have, and kind of put all those things into operation as you are able to go through all these different life experiences. So was it a learning process? Absolutely. And it's sometimes, learning from the good and the bad that you have, because you're going to have bad experiences, or you didn't necessarily perform where you really wanted to, but you learn from it. And if you keep that open mind to understand that, no, you're not going to be perfect. You're going to have to, take your lumps along the way, but as long as you build off of it and you learn from it, it'll allow you to take the next steps.
Seems like you transition well. Your assistant out there really seemed to love you, so always said a couple good things about you.
That's great. No, it's a great team, and again, like I said, a big piece of what I think is a extremely important piece of it is you really have to understand. I think the clinical background is extremely important, personally. It's one thing for me to be in this office and look at a spreadsheet to make a decision if I just understood the business side of things, but if you understand how it really affects patients and you've been in those shoes before, it really can help you really have that balance that is necessary. And again, a big piece of how to get there is to understand that balance, but also how to work with people. If you can't work with people, how are you ever going to be able to delegate, or how are you going to have people trust you to be able to carry out what your larger mission is, and that is to make the biggest difference possible for the patients that we care for.
Definitely. So when you came to McLaren Bay Regional, what was your vision, and how did you communicate this vision to your employees and people underneath you?
My vision is simple. We have our mission of the hospital and the health, our health system. That's one thing, but I will internalize it for me of what motivated me to even do what I'm doing today. Right? That's your motivating force. And so it was one patient that I came into contact with that changed the course of my entire life.
Really?
One patient. And I was a physical therapist. I was on the inpatient rehab unit, and that one particular patient that I came into contact with, Mr. Smith. Mr. Smith, I'm literally 6 months out of school at this time, okay? So I'm green, I'm new, I'm learning everything as well. And Mr. Smith, and we got to spend a little bit longer time with our patients back then than we do today. He had a severe stroke, flaccid on one side of his body, came down with his wife in our physical therapy gym, typical stroke symptoms. And I'm young, energetic kid saying, Mr. Smith, my name is Clarence, I'm going to work with you over the next couple of weeks. You can expect X, Y, or Z. And he looked at me, he said, kid, get away from me and let me die.
Wow.
Okay, it caught me off guard. Obviously, I didn't learn this in school, but I knew I couldn't let that happen. 3 days, same message over and over again. 4th day, he let me break through, do some range of motion on him, kind of, build a rapport with him. Make a long story short, he walked out of there with a quad cane about 2 months later.
Wow.
I'm like, wow, that's why I got into healthcare, to make a difference. Me being able to, play a role in that. But it didn't stop there. I actually lived behind the hospital at the time. I'm out cutting my grass on a Saturday morning, and up and I look, and guess what I see? See Mr. Smith and his wife walking with a single cane this time on the exercise program that I had put him on. Now I'm cutting my grass, and I'm looking, and I kind of startled to, because I recognized them. His wife's eyes met my eyes and literally ran to me. Now they're 70 years old, right? She ran to me, sobbing, crying now by the time she got to me, and gave me the biggest hug you can ever imagine and said, Clarence, thank you. Look what you've allowed us to do because you didn't give up on me. At that point, I kind of stepped back and said, now that's really why I got into healthcare, why I made the choice that I made. And I know that happens with, whether it be Dr. Swaden or whoever it might be, individuals that have had that kind of a similar experience. But it hit home to me that says, you know what? I want to have an impact in healthcare in a larger way at that point to make everyone feel like that. Meaning, anyone that you come into contact with is like your mom, your dad, your loved one, and you can play a role through a team to be able to have that kind of an impact. And that motivated me to go back to school. So to answer your question, as to, you know, what kind of things that it was my mission, my vision, and what message do I carry off to our team is that how do you, everyone in this whole hospital, 2,000 employees,
Right.
make sure that, ask them the question, why did they get into healthcare? Do you think people come to this hospital because they want to be here?
Right.
No. They come here because they need us. And what would you expect if that were your mom, your dad, your kid, your loved one, if they came to this hospital? What would you expect? You want top quality care. You want to make sure that you have the experience to do what you do. You have the expertise to do what you're doing, the competence to do what you're doing. You're compassionate. All the things that you would expect. So the mission, you carry that out every single day that you're here. We all have our own issues in life, right?
Right.
We have, we don't know if we can pay our bill, or, my dog bit me, or my kid is acting up. We have our own issues, which are all real and we need to be sensitive to. But when you enter these four walls, you have a larger mission. Carry that mission out. And so that's my mission and my direction and my expectation here is that we live that every single day. Will mistakes happen? Yeah, sure they're going to happen. But how do we minimize that? And what is our role in minimizing that? So that's the mission and that's the message and that's my expectation every single day that we're here.
Thank you.
So throughout our program, we learned to differentiate between management and leadership. And we read a lot of articles from the Harvard Business Review that explain those two concepts. What do you think, in your opinion, is the difference from your experience
Between management and leadership?
Yeah.
Well, anybody can really, you can manage. And that is taking care of your day-to-day book of business. Just manage that, get through the day. I think the difference is if you want to be a true leader, is taking that extra step of leading by example, defining what your mission is, set clear expectations so that, it's one thing for me to say I want to manage what I'm doing here, but if I ever want to take this organization to another level, we have to create leadership. We have to delegate appropriately. We have to make sure that we're developing people underneath you and understand what that is. Create mentorship opportunities so you allow everyone else to hopefully be better than you are. That's a leader.
Yep.
And so trying to communicate what that vision is and trying to help individuals understand what their role is in making that happen, I think that's the true difference.
Exactly what that
Yes,
was.
All right, this question's more about leadership. In our program, we also learned about different types of leadership. There's coaching, corrosive, democratic, visionary. We just kind of wanted to know, what do you think your style of leadership is?
Well, I'm an inclusive leader, first of all. So more of I'm going to say democratic, I guess, with some of those things. I'm a red personality, you do all those different profiles. So I know who I am. And a part of what I also need to understand are what are my weaknesses. One of my weaknesses, I like to control, right?
Right.
I like to make sure that I need to understand and know what's really going on. That's a weakness. I know that. So I have to let go of that. I have to trust. I have to make sure that I develop and have folks around me that can to do that. So I like to delegate now. I try to strike that balance as well overall. And I think that, by understanding that allows me to be a little bit more successful and allow those around me to flourish as well. So I'm more of a democratic, inclusive leader is what I would like to say I am.
Talking about delegation, was it hard for you to learn how to delegate that much?
There's two things that's very difficult for me. One is to delegate, and the other one is how to have a work-life balance. Right?
Yeah.
It's very difficult to do. And a part of me trying to get to a work-life balance is I better delegate.
Yeah,
Right. You can't take on too much
No.
responsibility, or else you.
No, there's a lot of good talent around you, and you have to trust them. Again, you don't have to know everything. You certainly want, if you help them understand what's important for you to know, and to keep you informed is one thing, but you don't have to be in the nitty-gritty of everything.
Right.
That makes sense?
Yeah, definitely. So, in your opinion, what makes a good leader?
Some of the things that we just talked about, to be honest with you. What makes a good leader is that, you first of all, you have a vision, right? You set that vision. You're very clear about what that vision is. what makes a good leader is can you have everyone around you embrace that vision? So setting clear expectations, how to get there, provide direction, provide, I'm going to say leadership, but provide that roadmap, if you will, of how to get there,
Yeah.
and then include them in it.
Right.
Will be extremely important in order to be a good leader, in my opinion. It's one thing to have a vision, but if you keep that vision to yourself and you don't articulate it very well, no one's going to be able to follow you.
Exactly.
So there are leaders and there are followers. Grow your leaders and, help set clear expectations with your followers. And then you're going to, in my opinion, you'll be a good leader.
So, what is a mistake you witnessed or believe leaders do frequently, or
Well,
something they could work on?
again, what I recognize is my weakness.
Right.
Delegation. That's probably the
Mhm.
biggest fault, in my opinion, of a mistake that you can make. If you try to keep it, there's so much work to be done, right?
Right.
And if you certainly can't be effective if you're trying to hold on to every piece, because you can't be everywhere at once.
Right.
And so that's a weakness and a fault of individuals if they don't learn how to delegate. The other thing I mentioned is that oftentimes we're not clear about what it is that we want, so we don't set clear expectation. We know what we want, but have you articulated that to those that you're working with to help them understand that as well? So that's another fault.
And do they understand what you're trying to articulate?
Yeah, because they're not going to get on board if they don't understand it.
Right. So what do you do to ensure that you grow and develop yourself as a leader?
Oh, what do I do to first of all, you have to read. You have to understand the industry. You have to understand exactly where how to better yourself to be able to better the organization overall. So that's just from an educational standpoint. The other thing is that you have to constantly do self-reflect.
Right.
If you have to do a constant self-reflection to say, okay, what evaluate yourself, not just what your boss evaluates you on, but how are you evaluating yourself to understand, hey, you have your objective measurements that you have to, measure up to. Are you meeting those, first of all? And if you're not, why? And so a lot of self-reflection, I guess, is what I often do to understand exactly what it is that I can do better and, continue to work on that.
So how do you get your feedback? Is there anybody who gives you feedback or tells you how you're doing?
You have to create that culture.
Okay.
If you are if you're not approachable,
Mhm.
Yeah.
if you're an individual that, I'm not going there and telling him that, versus saying, hey, you're transparent with what it is that you're doing. You create a culture of inclusiveness, and you let individuals know that, hey, this is a safe environment, a culture of safety, is that you'll get that feedback. So individuals that will come, you need to create that culture to say, hey, I'm not perfect. You're not going to be perfect. You're not going to be perfect, and you're not going to be perfect. None of us are. So how do we make sure that we give that feedback appropriately to make sure that individuals know that, we all learn. And I learn from my leaders.
Mhm.
I learn from our staff. I go out and I round every single day in the hospital. They are the best suggestions for this organization how to make it better.